Hi guys, so I recently put together this design outfit and I didn't have any idea where I wanted to wear it to, but then fortunately I had my mom's 10th anniversary coming up, so I decided to stitch it and wear it for that occasion. And I would like to share with you, my viewers, how I put this together. So I used 2 yards of white lace fabric, 1 yard of white plain suiting fabric, and then 1 yard of ash plain suiting fabric. The first thing I did was to sketch the design because I got the inspiration from different designs on Pinterest. So I had to sketch it before starting with the pattern drafting. So the pattern drafting, I would do the front first separately from the back. So I folded the brown paper and then I'll rule the line which became my starting point or my shoulder line. From that shoulder line, I measured my vertical, which is the bust, the under bust, and then the waistline, and then I connected them together. After that, um, after connecting them together, I'll work on the shoulder, and the shoulder I'm using is 15, so half of it is 7.5. So I marked 7.5, and I also marked the neckline, which is neck depth width, which is 3, and then the neck depth, which is 3.5. So I marked that too, as you see me do, and then I'll connect using the curve the to connect the neckline together. After that, I'll come down by 1 inch from the shoulder point and then connect it to the neck side, as you see me do. Then I'll get the chest line. Now the chest line is the bust measurement divided by 6 times plus 1.5. So when I calculated mine, I got 8. So I'll connect it down and then I'll get the chest line. Now that I'll find the midpoint of that line, that's the armhole side, and then go in by 0.7, and then I'll connect it. But before that, I'll have to get the bust measurement. So I'll take the bust measurement divided by 4 and then mark it there on the chest line. I'll mark it on the chest line, not on the bust line, and then I'll connect the 3 points together with the armhole curve. The next thing I'll do is to get the nipple to nipple, and the nipple to nipple I'm working with is 6, so half of that is 3. So I'll measure that on the under bust and on the waistline, then I'll connect the lines together. Now I'll get 0.5, mark 0.5 on each side, and then connect it to the under bust line. Now I'll measure my under bust circumference and divide it by 4 and record it on the under bust line, and I'll do the same for the waist. I'll find the waist circumference and divide it by 4, and then I'll add 1 inch for the dots that I took from there and then connect it. So I'll connect it to the under bust point and to the bust point that we recorded at the chest line. Then now I'll come out by 1 inch or 1.5 inch, depending on how you want it, on the bust line, chest line, and then the waist line at the center front. And then I'll pick up the cap, bra cap, and then put it. I'll make sure it's right on top of the bust line, under bust line, yes. And then I'll draw the I'll trace out the cap. Now I'll connect it to the armhole, the end of the armhole. It depends on how you want it. I wanted it like an off shoulder, or no, not off shoulder, a bustier. So I connected it to the end of the armhole, and the front too, I connected it straight like that. So I'm going to cut out the center front side, the side front, and then the cap out separately, and then I'll use the top, that's the top side, to cut out my strap. Yeah, so as you see me, I'm cutting this thing out. Now I'm going to use the front that I've sketched out to, or I've drafted out to draft or to get the back. So I'll put the front on a brown paper, another clean brown paper, and then use the marker to trace it out to get the back, as you see me do. Yeah, so I'm sketching. You have to make sure the front is straight on it so that it doesn't move, because if it moves, it will give you issues when you are stitching. So make sure it is lying straight on it. If possible, use masking tape to hold it together before you mark it out, or you trace it out. Then after that, you connect it together as you see me do. Then you cut it out. Then now you get the nipple to nipple on both sides, and then you connect. Then you get take 0.5 from each side and then connect it up. And that is it for the back. So we'll cut it on the fabric, as you can see. Now let's work on the skirt part. So I used my hip measurement to cut the fabric, and I am cutting the front and the back together, but the back I added 1 inch for zipper as allowance for zipper. And also I had to get my starting point, which would be my waistline. Okay, so that's what you see me do. You join it, so all the measurements will start from that line. So from that line, I'm going to measure to my hip line. My hip line is 9 from my waist, and then to my above the knee, which is 19. So I'll the first one I'm doing now is to the hip line, so I'll connect it together. Then I'll do to the knee line, which is 19, and then I'll also connect the lines together. Then I'll get the full length of the skirt, as in how long I want the skirt to be. So that will also depend. Now on the waist, I'll measure my waist and then divide it by 4, and then record it, and then I'll add 1 inch for my darts, and then 1 inch for stitching allowance. You can use 1.5, it depends on you. Then I'll go to the hip side, where I'll take my hip measurement and divide by 4 as well. But this side, you are not adding anyone for the darts, because you don't put that on the hip line. So you just add 1 or 1.5 stitching allowance to it. Now the knee side, or above the knee, you just less 2 from what you measured on the hip side. So if you measure 10, you just less 2 from it, which will be 8, and then you record it on the knee line, and you record the same thing on the hem of the skirt. Now you connect the points together, as you see me do. So I'm going to cut out. I added a 1 inch stitching allowance to the hem as well. So I'm going to cut it out. Now I am going to get the dart. So the same way I did for the bodice block, I'll take 3 inches. That's because my bust my nipple to nipple is 6, so I'll take 3 inch, and then I'll take 0.5 on each side of the 3 inches I recorded, and then I'll do the same thing on the hip line, and then connect the 2 points together. After connecting them together, now I'll come up from the hip line by 1 inch, and then I'll connect it to the 0.5 that I took from each side on the waistline, as you see me do. So I'm done with the skirt. I'll put out the back, and then we'll start working on the front. Because there is an opening at the front, so I have to cut out that opening. Now, one thing I realized is that when I started stitching, I realized the opening was becoming quite big. So if you are trying to cut out the opening, please make sure to reduce the hem side. Yes, I don't know if I'm making sense. So now I'm taking out, yes, that part. I'm taking that part out so that that place will be opened. But the small one at the end, that's what I'm saying. Make sure you reduce it. Now let's work on the sleeve. The sleeve, I measured where I want it to be on my shoulder. So I got 18. So I measured 18 on the fabric. That's the length, so 18, and then the width I measured like 10, and then I connected it together to form like a square or a rectangle, sorry, to get a rectangle. So that's what I'm trying to do. So I'm connecting it together to get the rectangle. Then after that, the down line, I'll find the midpoint and then go up by 1 inch, and then connect it with a curve to the end of the line, as you see me do. Now after that, I'll draw my star line. So that will depend on how you want it. So I just used my free hands to get the star line that I wanted. Or you can use a curve if you want. Yeah. So at a point I decided to use the curve, just so you get what I'm trying to do. Then after that, I'll cut it out. So I'll cut 4 of that. I'll cut 4 of that. Because it will be 2, and I'll use the other one to face it. So then that's what I got. Now the next thing is to cut the what I'll use for to cover the cap. So I use the lace, and then I use the plain white for facing it. Then I also cut out this part that I'll use to attach to the skirt. So I cut the ash fabric and then the white one, and also the one I'll use for the ruffles in front of the dress. So I just cut out a long piece of fabric, and also the bow tie at the back. I just cut a square fabric for the ash and then the white one. Guys, so I'll do a part 2 video of how I stitched the dress. So if you like this video, I plead that you subscribe to the channel and then hit on the notification bell to be notified anytime I upload a video. So I'll see you in my next video, and it's bye bye for now.